Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is the Cortez City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. The time is 7:30 p.m. Just so you all are aware, Mayor Medina is excused from this meeting, and as Mayor Pro Tem, I will be chairing. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Donna, will you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Kiefhofer.
Here.
DeHaven.
Here.
Spruill.
Here.
Rainey.
Here.
Dobry.
Here.
Yazzie.
Here. Please note that we have a quorum this evening. Can I please have an approval of the agenda? Motion.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dobry, second by DeHaven.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
Yazzie.
Aye. Item number 2 on the agenda is the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at that time, prior to council's vote. The mayor will ask if a citizen or council member wishes to have any specific items removed from the consent agenda for discussion. Item 2A, approval of the work session and agenda minutes for February 13th, February 27th, and special meeting on March 1st, 2024. B, approval of the expenditure list for March 12th, 2024. C, approval of a special event permit for the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce to host a business after hours event on March 21st, 2024 from 4 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. on the premises of the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce located at 20 West Main Street, Cortez. D, approval of a change in corporate structure for Me Mexico Inc., DBA Me Mexico, located at 801 East Main Street, Cortez. E, approval of a transfer of ownership application for BMCJ Inc., DBA Stonefish Sushi and More, located at 16 West Main Street, Cortez. And F, approval of a renewal application for a retail marijuana store license for Durango Organics, LLP, DBA Durango Organics, located at 1013 East Main Street, Cortez. Does any citizen or council member wish to have any specific items removed from the consent agenda for discussion?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dobry, second by Rainey.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 3 on our agenda is public participation. There is no limit to the number of speakers, although public comments will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. Do we have any? Okay. Seeing that there is no public participation, we'll move on to item 4, presentations. Item 4A, council will address public concerns regarding quasi-judicial matters. Pat.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. If you'll recall, at the last City Council meeting, a member of the public addressed council and presented some concerns about council actions relating to the quasi-judicial hearing process. The council went into executive session, received input from me, and we discussed your options and potential liabilities. As a result of that, council had asked that a statement be prepared for possible adoption by council, addressing the concerns that were presented by the members of the public. To that end, I have drafted a possible statement for council's consideration. As you know, if council decides to go forward with adopting an official position statement, you'll need to do it at the next city council meeting after placing the item on the agenda. This wasn't on the agenda for this meeting, but you can discuss it. It is a noticed agenda item, so you can discuss it. You can ask for comments and questions from council members. You can ask for comments and questions from the public, although to the extent you are going to adopt a formal statement, you'll need to do it with discussion again at the next meeting. I've put the proposed statement in front of you, and with Madam Mayor Pro Tem's permission, I'll read this into the record so the public knows what we're discussing this evening.
Go ahead.
At our last City Council regular meeting, a concern was raised during the public comments section that 2 members of the council allegedly violated certain rules governing quasi-judicial matters in relation to a rezoning request this past year. We wish to thank the member of the public who brought this issue to our attention, since we collectively were not aware of the issue prior to then. We as a council wish to reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law, strict adherence to the provisions contained in our city charter and other applicable codes, as well as fundamental fairness to all. We are concerned to learn of any violations of our rules by one or more individual members, since collectively the City Council and staff have strived so hard to earn back the public trust that was lost in previous years. And we fully recognize there is a constant need to continue to earn that trust. While we all make mistakes, this council does expect a higher level of care from its individual members. We therefore are not only recommitting to strict adherence to governing law in all matters, but have taken steps to arrange for additional training for the council on our role and duties as council members and how best to handle quasi-judicial hearings and related matters when land use applications appear in the future. And that's the conclusion of the proposed statement. Certainly feel free to offer edits or changes, and with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Council members?
I want to speak regarding my actions last year related to the rezoning request for property adjacent to the Carpenter Nature Preserve. I recognize now that I may have made a mistake in not following appropriate guidelines during the rezoning process, and I sincerely apologize for this.
I was actually going to wait in case this got adopted and speak, but I will go ahead and say what I was going to say now. So I received many emails, and on June 27th I received an email from a person who was opposed to the change of zoning of the independent log company. On September 28th, during the public hearing, I failed to recall that email from June. And I just want to remind everybody that the public hearing was originally scheduled for August 22nd, but we moved that due to the request of the applicants. However, on August 22nd, several citizens who were opposed to the rezoning showed up at the meeting and requested that we go ahead and push forward with that meeting, even though independent log couldn't be here. There was a family issue. So I think the thing that a lot of people don't know is in that meeting, I unequivocally advocated for the fact that the meeting should be moved so that we could hear from the independent log company. And I made the statement very clearly. You can watch it online. We've heard from several people who are opposed to rezoning, but we need to hear from both sides as this is a quasi-judicial matter. Now, that wasn't by any means the first or the last time that I advised somebody from the public that it was a quasi-judicial matter, and it wasn't the last time that I advocated that we also hear from the independent log company. So I would encourage anybody that hasn't seen or wasn't in that meeting to please go to the city website to watch that, so maybe you get a better understanding that I fully understand what quasi-judicial means, and that I advocated on behalf of the independent log company in that public hearing. And since then, I've really had a chance to reflect on what happened, and I realized the impact of what occurred and the possibility of it being perceived in a negative fashion. I take responsibility for that, and I recommit myself to not repeat my error. And after listening to the statement that Mr. Coleman read today, I really understand where, I guess, with the city manager, the city attorney, and the 5 counselors that were not a part of this, I would really like to apologize. I realize that it may have caused some embarrassment on behalf of council, and that my alleged actions have caused that. So it's my hope that you all, along with the citizens Cortez, forgive me for the perceived transgression, and I truly apologize to the manager, the city attorney, and other people on council at this time. So, thanks.
Thank you. Other council members? Thoughts on this item?
Yeah, I do think it would be important for us to bring this to the next meeting, to make this a resolution, just to reaffirm our commitment and make sure that the community understands that we are, as a council, all of our council is committed to fairness and the sometimes difficult codes that we have to do. The one thing I was going to suggest is that we, towards the end of the draft, we are focused on council. I think we should also make sure that the training will include our planning and zoning board, because they also preside in a quasi-judicial manner, and just to make sure that training is for both of the boards that preside over land use issues. So I would like to see that change.
There are so many things that council has to address at every single meeting, and some of these things start months and months in advance of those meetings. And I feel that the more that we can ingrain in our council members, the new council members that come on, that this is a very special role that you play, and that you don't want to jeopardize your vote on the matter because you were elected to vote for the people, that we need to be more proactive in ingraining that responsibility and reminding our council members that this is something that could come up. And so as these quasi-judicial matters come up, as we know that they're in the works, I think it would be really beneficial to the council for them to be notified that these things are in the works, and that they should be aware that they might be contacted, and that this is how you respond when this happens, and that a single training that we've already had scheduled, which is great, might not be enough, that maybe it needs to be an annual conversation around what, like a reminder, an upkeep of that understanding of what it means to be in that quasi-judicial role. So those are my thoughts around it. Would be welcome Dennis or Lydia to also chime in if they have other thoughts regarding this item.
I don't really have anything to add or change with the statement. I agree with it, and I like Robert's suggestion to also add in the planning and zoning and our commitment there. And I think our council strives to be transparent, and a big part of that transparency is even having this conversation right now during our council meeting, because there's a lot of things that you could just ignore that are brought towards you, but we've chosen as a council to address this head-on and in a public, appropriate, transparent setting. And I hope as we continue that the city of Cortez and our council can work together to keep that strong transparency going.
You know, there's a group of people, they call themselves watchdogs or activists, or they give themselves several different names. And there's times you really just don't like those people because they don't know what they're talking about. And there's other times they bring to light issues that really need to be addressed. I had no knowledge that this was going on, and I'm so thankful that there was somebody in the community that was willing to come up and say, hey guys, you're not going down the straight road right now. You've got a curve in it, you better fix it. And I think it's important that we have those people in our community. Not that I love them, but I understand them, and it's good to know that they have our backs, because I don't think they're out to get us. I think they're out to have us do what's right for the community. And if you were a little bird on the wall and could watch this council in our executive sessions discussing matters, you would say they have one thing in mind, and that's the community. And so I can assure everyone that we were not aware of the quasi-judicial infractions, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Any other thoughts from council? So it sounds like there might be an addition with to expand that sentence that Rob mentioned to include the planning and zoning.
And I also heard the comments about possibly encouraging staff to provide advance notification of pending quasi-judicial hearings. Do you want that also added to this policy statement?
How do other council members feel about advance notice of like matters that are going to be quasi-judicial?
I think it's fantastic. The more I know, the better educated I am, and I can avoid getting into trouble.
Yeah, I agree. The earlier we know things, the more we can protect ourselves. And we live in a small town, so then you can avoid conversations you might not have realized you should be avoiding at times.
Sure. And it just, maybe more for the public's benefit. I do this every day, so I kind of know as secondhand knowledge what constitutes a quasi-judicial matter. But if you don't do it every day, it can be somewhat complicated, and not every land use issue is a quasi-judicial hearing. The other form of hearing is a legislative hearing, and the constraints on ex parte contacts are not there with a legislative hearing. So you're actually encouraged to discuss matters outside of the public hearing and prior to the public hearing with your constituents in a legislative context. So I would be happy, along with the assistance of the city manager and the planning and zoning administrator, to give you as much advance notice of applications that come in that appear to be quasi-judicial. So we can do that, and I will make a reference to it in the proposed language.
Do you have more?
No, I was just going to say that sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You have your direction. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is 5 public hearings. Item 5A is request for postponement of public hearing date for Elevated Liquors LLC. Staff is recommending a postponement of the public hearing date for Elevated Liquors LLC, presented by Donna Murphy, Deputy City Clerk.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. A public hearing date for Tuesday, March 12th was set by City Council at the February 27th, 2024 council meeting for review of a new retail liquor store license for Elevated Liquors LLC located at 530 North Broadway in Cortez. Due to the required public notice period in the newspaper and the last council meeting, February 27th, coinciding a few days apart, staff is requesting that the public hearing date for the new retail liquor store license be postponed to the next city council meeting on March 26, 2024.
I just had a quick question for our attorney, Pat Coleman. Do we, because this is in public hearings, do we need to open this tonight and then make the motion, or could we just make the motion directly?
Yeah, you don't need to receive public comment on a motion to continue.
Okay.
And because it was noticed, anybody that would have wanted to appear tonight would have had notice due to the publication. So I think you're on firm ground to, if you're so inclined, to go ahead and continue the hearing without public comment.
Well, with that, I move that City Council approve the postponement of the public hearing for a new retail liquor store license for Elevated Liquor LLC to Tuesday, March 26, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Dobry, second by Rainey.
Dobry.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Spurl.
Yes.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you. Item 6, unfinished business. There is no unfinished business. Item 7, new business. 7A, city staff recommends that the city council grant a discount for residents who require a second refuse polycart. Council will consider amending our fee schedule to reflect a 50% discount for a second refuse polycart for users who dispose of excess trash. Presented by Brian K. Peckins, Director of Public Works. Take it away.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, the Public Works Refuse Division would like to request that a discount be granted to residents who request a second refuse polycart. This is designed to encourage proper disposal of household waste. Our goal is to standardize trash receptacles in order to streamline the side load pickup routes and increase paid receptacle use rates for sanitation and safety benefits. With the implementation of the new side load trash truck, this streamlined service minimizes the amount of time a driver exits the truck. However, many residents are still putting out trash in non-city recognized receptacles, which is a cause for concern. The current 2024 fee for a polycart is $29.15. To encourage proper disposal, a second polycart discount line item of $14.58 or a 50% discount would be added to our fee schedule. This discount will foster goodwill among residents and give them some relief, and hopefully residents will be more inclined to take advantage of this opportunity. This proposed discount is in line with our best industry practices, and to further support our goals, we feel implementing a marketing strategy that provides a 50% discount on the order of a second polycart will boost sales. This will help us recover our initial budget impact more quickly. Currently, 153 residents have a second polycart. Staff recommends that Council approve the amendment to our fee schedule to include a discounted rate of $14.58 or a 50% discount for a second refuse polycart. Subject to any questions?
Any questions, Council?
Is that, Brian, is that in addition to the one cart? What is the charge for the one?
$29.15 for $29.15 for the first polycart. Currently, if you have a second polycart, it costs the same, but we're encouraging a 50% discount so that people will get a second. People who need a second polycart will get one instead of putting out. You know, we've got plenty of pictures and examples of people putting out tons of bags and boxes and things that are side load which is only efficient if the driver doesn't have to get out of the truck. You know, he takes the polycart, picks it up. If he has to get out because there's extra trash, then it becomes much less efficient.
And for the people who already have 2 polycarts,
They'll get a discount for the second one automatically.
Do you have an estimate on the number of additional polycarts, second polycarts that you think this program would lead to?
I'll let Colby answer that.
Yes, I mean, probably in the order of around 200 would be my imagination for this season. Of course, that number would grow exponentially over time.
200 in addition to the current ones, or 200 including?
200 in addition to the current ones is what we're anticipating. We've already got those orders stockpiled, so we'd be ready to move forward.
How much does a polycart cost?
One polycart is $29.15. Second polycart would be in the order of $14.58, if this is approved.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, Colby, I think what the councilor is asking is, how much does it cost for us to purchase one of those?
Oh, okay, excuse me. So I generally do those orders in bulk, about 300 carts at a time. Whenever we do that, that's about $25,000 per 300 whenever we're placing those orders. Generally speaking, $90 per polycart, depending on the order of how many you're ordering and what the quantity is.
I have one more question. Do you know or have an idea what percentage of residents actually recycle?
So as far as recycling participation within the city of Cortez, we're close to at about a third of residents currently recycling. In the order of about 700 residents participate with our recycling program.
Thank you.
So it sounds like this is a pretty big issue that's slowing down the refuse pickup in the city. With this discount, are you going to be like leaving people flyers that have been doing the
Yes.
kind of the illegal way, or do you have a plan to get people to sign up for the half-off cart?
Yeah, we already have flyers.
If we were to approve this, would you be able to report back at the end of the year with the number of additional? Because with the current number of double polycart residences or businesses, it would be about a little over $26,000 of revenue with that discount. So I think or at least I would just want to make sure that there is enough growth to cover that, so we aren't creating a hole in the budget. And that there are an additional 200-ish that would make sure that would be covered.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And how do we hold people accountable to getting the second polycart? Like if they continuously put out illegal carts or trash bags?
So part of the situation that we're looking at is some software that goes in line with our current truck that we've just implemented. With that software, it would take advantage of 5 different camera systems on the vehicle itself, and to ease the burden of the individuals that are getting the calls every day, all the driver would have to do was push a button, basically. If they're not out, if they've got extra trash, if it's block service, any one of those. And then in real time, anyone in our call centers that receive calls would be able to pull up that and access live video or pictures of that information and either validate the customer's concerns or validate the truck's efficiencies.
And part of this is an education process. It's the new side load trucks. They're faster, they're quicker, they're more efficient, and they're doing the routes faster, so some people aren't getting their trash out in time, so it's kind of a training process, and to let people know what's acceptable and what isn't, and certainly having refuse in approved polycarts is much more sanitary than having, bags and bundles out on the street.
I don't know if Councilmember DeHaven's question was answered. Do you want to?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how the city actually enforces people using polycarts. Do we have anything besides, like, a discount? Like, do
So-
you guys report repeat offenders?
Right, I got you. So if a household is putting out excess and refuses to pick it up, then that would become a code enforcement issue. If it's leading towards things such as debris, litter, wind-driven debris, things of that nature, we encourage people to participate and do it through the right avenue of actually, paying to throw away their material. But if they're throwing out extra and it's not during a special collections, such as a city cleanup event or something of that nature, then we reach out to the individual, we let them know, we reach out to utility billing, and we reach out to code enforcement.
For the people that are leaving out trash in excess of the polycart that they have, is refuse picking that up and just taking it? Like, that's a question that I have, because if there's no incentive for them to purchase another polycart, if that's trash is getting picked up, then I don't know how much the uptake will look like.
Got you. So, no, we are not taking it right away. We are putting the burden back on the individual to go ahead and make those moves, make the correct decision. As far as what was being done before, most of that material was taken, so it is kind of breaking a new mindset.
Yeah, some behavior change that's going to need to take place, right? Okay. Any other questions, council?
You mentioned that this is an industry best practice. How does this compare to our peers locally as well?
Local peers within this area, as soon as you move out, I'm a county resident, for years, it's been understood, at least by myself and my neighbors, that if we don't bring our material out for collection, it's not going to be taken. And if we have material in excess of the collection receptacle, then there will be additional charges if it's taken at all.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I move that City Council amend the 2024 city fee schedule to reflect that a second refuse polycart for residential customers will cost $14.58 effective April 1st, 2024.
Second.
Motion by DeHaven, second by Spruill.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Spruill,
Yes.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7B on the agenda is 2024 police vehicle lease. 2024 police vehicle lease includes a 5-year lease agreement for 3 2024 Chevy Tahoe police pursuit vehicles and 3 Chevy Silverado 1500 PPV pickups, including upfit costs for all emergency equipment installation, presented by Chief Fred Knuckles and Kelly Koski, Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. I come before you tonight to ask City Council to approve the city to enter into a 5-year lease for 6 new police vehicles. 3 Chevy Tahoes, 2024 Chevy Tahoes, and 3 2024 Chevy Silverado pickups, to include the upfit and installation of all emergency equipment in those 6 vehicles. Currently, the police department, currently 44% of our vehicles are at or above 75,000 miles. some of them in the high 80s. 15% of our vehicles are between 50 and 75, and 41% of our vehicles are below 50,000. So we have some high mileage vehicles, and I believe that's due to a few years back when police vehicles were not replaced due to budget constraints. Back in 2020, 2021, we're starting to see that catch up, that slinky effect coming in. If council remembers, last year we entered into a lease of 6 vehicles for the police department. Kind of the plan that we're looking to move towards is a 5-year lease, leasing 6 vehicles every 5 years. If we do that, we can turn our fleet over every 5 years. And the vehicles that we leased last year, on year 6, the city will have the option to buy those vehicles back for $1 or sell them back to the lease company at fair market value. I kind of went through our vehicle list, and some of our vehicles that are around 4 and 5 years old are around between 20 and 40,000 miles. It kind of depends. If you got a brand new young patrolman that's out there in a vehicle, he's putting a few more miles on than some of the old guys. So at year 6, if the city purchased those vehicles back for $1, I feel that those vehicles could be repurposed into the city, into other departments, maybe relieve some pressure off the equipment fund for some of the personal type vehicles. So that's kind of what we're going with the lease program. We're in it early, where this would be year 2. It would take 5 years, 6 years for this plan to come to fruition. But I think it would offer some quality vehicles to the rest of the city at year 6. Yeah, that's kind of the discussion background. I brought Kelly with me. I got upfit quotes. Kelly has been working with the finance companies, so I'll turn it over to her so she can talk numbers.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie and Council. So the financing package for the vehicles really come in 3 different pieces. There are the upfit cost. There are also the cost of the vehicles themselves, and then there's also the lease cost. So the upfit cost, that is a cost of all the stuff that makes the patrol cars really cool. The lights, the sirens, all of the extras that need to come with a vehicle that's going to be used for the police department. John Elway is the state contract vendor for all police vehicles within the state of Colorado, and so we are using them again as our pricing for the vehicles themselves. And then we also have our leasing options, and one thing that I did want to point out is we had one vendor within those leasing options that included a factor of 0.2360. They call that a factor, but when you take a look at the numbers, it really should be called a multiplier, because what that does is they not only apply that to the total amount of the dollars that you're going to be leasing, but they also add it to the interest rate. So their interest rate looks like it's possibly lower. However, you'll notice that their payments are the highest of the 3 that we dealt with. I just wanted to point that out. That's a kind of a different thing that we ran into also with the VX rail replacement leases. Yeah. So MHQ of Albuquerque is the lowest cost for both the detective and the patrol vehicles. John Elway, of course, is the vendor for the state contract, and Kansas State Bank were the ones that came in not only with the lowest interest rate, but also with the lowest payment option. Staff would recommend that the council authorize City Manager Sanders to sign a 5-year lease agreement with Kansas State Bank to purchase 3 2024 Chevy Tahoes and 3 2024 Chevy 1500s from John Elway, and have those 6 vehicles upfitted with the emergency equipment by MHQ. Does anybody have any questions?
I just had a question. So once the vehicles run their course with the police department and kind of move into other departments, what do we do with all of the like upfittings? Are those like resellable, reusable? What's...
I would say some of it may be resellable, but the equipment, there's pretty short lifespan. The technology changes, but I think in 5 years we could probably resell that. Most of it anyway.
Any other questions, council? Can I have a motion?
I move that City Council authorize City Manager Sanders to negotiate and sign a 5-year lease agreement with Kansas State Bank to lease 3 2024 Chevy Tahoes and 3 2024 Chevy 1500s from John Elway Chevrolet, and have those 6 vehicles upfitted with emergency equipment by MHQ of New Mexico for a total cost of $409,100.
Second.
Motion by DeHaven, second by Sproul.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Sproul.
Yes.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you. Item 7C, authorization for lease of 2 greens mowers for the golf course. Presenter Rick Smith, Director of General Services.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. I'd like to come for you and request authorization to lease 2 greens mowers for the Conquistador Golf Course for the city staff. As way of background, the 2024 Equipment Fund budget provides $27,000 for an annual lease for the 2 greens mowers. This would be for a 60-month term on the lease for the greens mowers. And I would point out to City Council that if we order them now, it'll put them in production. We won't get the mowers until 2025. So we did a bid, and we opened bids on January 10th. We received 2 responses to our proposal. The low bidder was Pastesio Brothers with a John Deere greens mower. A purchase price for information of $56,178 each, and the annual lease amount per each would be $13,289.49 for a total lease for the 2 units yearly of $26,578.98. The other bidder, Simpson Norton, which is a Toro brand, they gave us a purchase price of $58,656.30, but however, Toro does not have a lease program available. And as I mentioned earlier, it's 12 to 18 months delivery for these, and it is included in the equipment fund, and council may consider authorizing city manager Drew Sanders to negotiate and sign a 5-year lease. I'd point out that the lease, when it's delivered, it'd be a 2025 lease, but, and we did get a copy of the lease for the city attorney to do a review of the terms, and it had the non-appropriation clauses and that kind of stuff in it. So that's really about all, if you have any questions.
At the end of that lease, do we own those, or?
Yes, sir. And I'd also point out what traditionally they do is the production greens mowers, as they get older, they move them to do the tee boxes. So they keep them on for a while.
So just to clarify, so there's like a dollar buyout, the same kind of, at the end of the lease, it's that kind of thing, so then we would retain the mowers. What's the life cycle of a mower like this?
I would say about 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
It all has to do with the reels and the quality of the reels. That's why they move them to the tee boxes versus on the green.
Okay, thank you.
Notice that there's only 2 bids for this. Is this like another piece of very specialized equipment, or is it just that there wasn't many interested bidders?
I wasn't clear on your question, but I believe you were talking about how specialized the greens mowers are.
So there's only 2 bids, right? So I'm just curious if it's because this is a specialized piece of equipment, or if there just wasn't interest in bidding for.
Yeah, there's just very few manufacturers that make this type of equipment, and the primary 2 is John Deere and Toro. Used to be Jacobson, but as far as I know, they're not even in the golf business right at this time.
Any other questions or comments from council?
Does it come with any warranty?
Yes, it does.
Can I have a motion, please? Sorry, never mind. 1 second.
I don't see it on the list here, council members. But it does have it on there. Oh, here it is, warranty, 2-year standard.
I move the city council accept the bid for 2 John Deere green mowers received from Potesto Brothers at the annual lease amount of $26,578.98, and authorize city manager Sanders to negotiate and sign a 5-year lease agreement with John Deere Financial.
Second.
Motion by Sproul, second by Dobry.
Dobry,
Aye.
Kiefhoffer, Rainey,
Aye.
Sproul,
Yes.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
7D, South Broadway Area Wide Plan, Project Working Group Council Liaison. Council Liaison nomination and appointment to the South Broadway Area Wide Plan, Project Work Group Council Liaison. Presented by Rachel Marchbanks, Director of Community and Economic Development.
Greetings, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So tonight I'm here to request another appointment, another council liaison, if possible. I know you folks are pretty busy. I know we're keeping you pretty busy. Just to give you a little bit of background, the city received a grant from the CDPHE in 2022 for, it's a brownfield grant to help assess, it provides funding for local communities to fund environmental site assessments and cleanup, as well as site reuse and area-wide planning activities that support brownfield reuse and lead to potential cleanup and redevelopment. So this particular committee will be helping to provide guidance on a study, an area-wide plan of the South Broadway area. And the study would include recommendations relating to zoning, land use refinements, capital projects, and marketing branding activities. Some of the objectives are to identify the community's desired land use pattern and urban form, identify the locally preferred street network pattern, define properties with near-term redevelopment potential, and define strategies to improve non-motorized travel, as well as define strategies to entice investment and redevelopment activities in this focus area. As far as the commitment for the working group liaison, we'll have our first meeting, kickoff meeting in March at the end of this month, and then up to about six meetings over a 6-month time period for a total of 8 to 10 hours. And typically we'll have them in the evenings because we expect folks will be working during the day.
Can you let us know who the other members or organizations that are part of this committee are?
We're still working on forming it with guidance from the CDPHE and Stantec. We're reaching out to community members and business owners in that area, especially ones that have reached out to us and expressed interest in, say they own a property in the area and they're looking to redevelop it.
Is this grant limited to the city, or does it extend down outside of the city into the county?
It can extend. We can recommend that we look at areas that are in the periphery of the city.
I would just recommend if we do that there be a county representative as well on the committee.
Yeah, we actually did reach out to the county, and we do have at least one. So.
The only other recommendation I was going to make is since there is an election coming up, I would suggest that if we were to appoint a member, it be one of the members who is definitely going to be on council going forward.
Yeah, and I know it's hard to, kind of make that choice right now in general, but it would be nice if whoever is appointed could be there from the start versus starting midstream.
Right, so we're looking at Lydia, Dennis, Matt. It's up for debate. Y'all can rock, paper, scissors. No.
Do you have any, just thinking specific dates, like the first meeting is in March and we're already partway through the month, so.
Actually, yes, we do. The first meeting, we're looking at March 28th that evening. And then the next ones we haven't, we don't have a specific date for.
If a new council member come on board, they would miss one meeting. Is that correct? Maybe two.
Second.
Because it's the second meeting that they'd be
Second meeting
brought
in
on.
April where they come in.
Yeah.
I would really like to see, if somebody comes on a new council, they may be really interested in this. I'd really like them to have the opportunity to do that, because every one of us have a board right now. And I think it'd just be great if they had the opportunity, if they so wished, to do that. That's just, but I understand you don't want to start midstream, but if they're only going to miss one meeting.
Is there a time constraint around the end of the 6 meetings? Does it need to start in the end of March, or if the committee were to start in April, would that be okay?
Yeah, we have the consultants coming down at the end of March. It was just based on their availability, and also just the need to get going on this project because of grant deadlines. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's something I'm interested in doing. Right now I can make your first meeting, and I have a few things going on in June, but I could send you those dates right away. And I really appreciate, I think Dennis and Matt and other council members have picked up some more duties for me while I was adjusting to having a baby, so I feel like I'm in a place where I could step up for it.
And, if you find that if there's someone else that comes on board in April that has more availability, I'm sure we could bring them up to speed. I mean, really, this is a working group that we're hoping to work with, the broader community. So the council person would be more just kind of a liaison, a person that's kind of, listening in and understanding what's being said and bringing that back to the council.
I would like to thank Councilperson DeHaven for stepping up for that, and move that City Council appoint Lydia DeHaven to serve as the Cortez City Council liaison to the project working group for the South Broadway area-wide plan.
If that needs a second, I would happily second it.
Motion by Dobry, second by Sproul.
Sproul,
Yes.
Rainey,
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Councilmember DeHaven. Item 8 on our agenda is draft resolution. Ordinances, there are none. Item 9 is City Attorney's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I do not have a report this evening.
Item 10 is City Manager's report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'd like to deliver my report for this current term. Number one, the Department of Local Affairs has awarded the city a $133,000 grant through the local planning capacity system to support the Affordable Housing Fast Tracking Initiative for the Community and Economic Development Department. This will help implement systems that fast track or expedite the development of review process for affordable housing. The city will hire an internally directed spending grant through Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Bennett's offices for fiscal year 2025. Our finance department just met with them on this past Friday. This funding would be used for an equalization tank or water tank to stabilize the pressure in the city's water network, helping alleviate problems in the water distribution lines, including breaks and dispersions. This will help meet the current water needs of the community and give us more time to acquire the resources necessary to replace the antiquated water lines within the city. And number 3, I know we already talked about this with the refuse department, but I feel like I need to talk about this a little bit more because we do need to help educate the public. If I can get my slides up on the screen, please. And while they're doing that, I'll just read this. The City Refuse Department has been experiencing some difficulties and setbacks when collecting refuse, especially while using the side loader machine, which was purchased for its efficiency. The residents have been leaving additional refuse and other than what will fit in the allocated polycarts, and at times an exorbitant amount. And if I can get that up on the screen, please, I can show you some photos of what that would look like. One of the solutions being considered, and we already passed that this evening, is the provision of a half-cost second polycart. But it's important that we start working toward using these side load trucks for a couple reasons. Number one, worker safety. It just really boosts it. There we go, up on the screen there. We need to get it in the back, please, so the council can see it. There we go. Here's some, and these are extreme, but this is what our refuse department is dealing with. If you can see that, that is at least a pickup truck load of material that needs to be hauled away. Here's another one where a lot of materials are off to the side there and just left for them to pick up. Here's another one, including, if I'm seeing that right, it looks like a couch. And you can't even get to the refuse bin. And the last one here, yet another possible pickup truck load of materials there. So these are just things that our refuse department is dealing with. They have been wonderful for so many years to make sure that we're collecting what is put out, but we just really collectively in our community need to change our thinking. If it doesn't fit in the poly cart, you really need to consider either holding it over for future dump days or perhaps visiting the county landfill. But one of the things I wanted to point out with the side load dump truck is the efficiency of it. Not only did I mention, how the safety of workers goes up, the second one is a side load dumper can exceed just over 1,000 dumps per day, where the rear load trucks that have at least 2 crew members on it, and oftentimes 3, they are in the 300 to 400 dumps a day range. So the side load more than doubles what can be done. So I just wanted to submit that to you and through you to the community, and we're sincerely hoping that the community will cooperate and help us overcome this. And lastly, Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to share a employee highlight, if that's permissible.
Yes, please.
This particular one comes from the Public Works Department for Don Cornett. And he's nominated by Brian Peckins, and he writes, "We'd like to recognize Public Works Street Foreman Don Cornett as the leader of the Public Works team, the city, and the community. Don is in his 30th year working for the city of Cortez. He started off as a part-time operator in the streets department and then advanced to full-time running the recycling program when it was in its infancy. After 5 years, Don transferred back to the streets division as an operator, then a senior lead operator. He was later promoted to Public Works Streets Foreman in 2014, where he oversees a staff of dedicated personnel. Don has done an excellent job of providing traffic services, snow removal, and maintaining our streets. Don has also overseen the tree trimming program for many years. About 15 years ago, Don was tasked with taking down a 65-foot dead cottonwood tree on the ditch bank west of North Sligo Street. While in the bucket truck, the tree fell against the truck and began to slide. With his ability to think quickly, Don assessed the situation, tied a rope around the tree, and with the help of a front-end loader, was able to get down and remove the tree without damage or injury. During his tenure, Don has helped the Water Division with water leaks and other emergencies. He has also been a strong proponent for removing graffiti as soon as it occurs. As a long-standing member of the community, Don even has a residential area, Cornet Heights, named after his grandfather. Don is a consummate professional and a dedicated public servant, and a credit to the Public Works team and the city of Cortez. Thank you, Don, for all the good work you do. And that concludes my report, pending any questions from the council.
Thank you. Item 11 on our agenda is City Council Committee reports. 11A, Mayor's report on the workshop. During our workshop earlier today, we heard from the Colorado Department of Transportation. They presented on a speed study that they had done on the stretch of highway from South 160 up to a little bit past town, or a little bit north. So unfortunately, it was mile marker 27, up to mile marker 27. Unfortunately, what came back from those speed studies was that they are not recommending any reductions in speed, and we all, speaking for council, I think we all felt very strongly about the fact that we really still want something to be done in that stretch of highway, because we feel that the speed is not safe, that people that we know, people that we care about, have been involved in incidents or accidents along that stretch, and we are very passionate about trying to find a way to move forward, to work, come to a middle ground with the state to make that a safer stretch of highway. One of the things that did come up was the potential for exploring a little bit more in depth the area near the middle school and the 7th Street area, and we're really just hoping that the state will stay responsive and have some immediacy with this, and that, you know, we hope we have our staff members holding them accountable as well. So that kind of was the bulk of our conversation during our workshop, and with that, we'll move on to other board reports. So we'll start from the far end with Matt.
The Parks, Recreation, Forestry Advisory Board meeting was last Thursday, March 7th. We talked about South Pocket Park playground updates, 7th Street project community update. We briefly talked about geese in the park, and we spent the majority of our time talking about department goals for 2024. And also we floated the possibility of a Parks and Recreation Forestry Advisory Board subcommittee that would be a rec center users group. So we haven't quite landed on that yet, but keep your ears and eyes open, and that might be a thing that comes up.
The Conquistador Golf Course hopefully will be opening March 15th. It's all dependent upon weather. Our code says that we open, we're closed and don't open up at March 1st, but we're not going to make it because they're not ready, and the weather didn't cooperate the way we wanted it to. However, when they do open up, they should have really good greens, because the Men's Golf Association was able to get a grant to put covers over those greens. And I'm reading from a well-written report from Creighton Wright, and I'd like to thank him for keeping me up to date. But March 15th is the opening date for the golf course. They do have a new website up, and they're still working out the bugs on it. And I look forward to seeing everybody out the golf course because it's a great one.
The library director position is still open, and there's openings on the library board as well, so tell your friends.
Last Wednesday, I attended the Historic Preservation Board meeting. Planning is ongoing for Historic Preservation Day, which is, I believe, the second weekend of May, so keep your eyes out for things about that. And also, the Historic Preservation Board is planning for a new banner, a new Main Street banner to update that, because the old one has become pretty worn. And there is also a Historic Preservation coloring book that will be coming out and that will be available, and I think they'll be doing some events to present that as part of Historic Preservation Day. And then next week, next Monday, I'll be attending the Mesa Verde Country Board meeting, which is at 4:30 in the Welcome Center conference room, if anyone else would like to attend.
Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the last arts meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Thank you, everyone. Item 12 on our agenda is other items of business. There is no executive session needed. Item 13, public participation. This is our second opportunity, and we have no one wanting to do public participation. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by DeHaven, second by Dobry.
Dobry.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
Rainey.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.